In our Tune Up the Game course, we've looked at three aspects of the game. Technical, how you hit the ball; tactical, where to hit the ball; and mental, how to deal with the mental part. Just for today, I'd like to address the mental aspects of team preparation. You're the captain of a team. You got a big match coming up this weekend. What are the key things you need to focus on to get your team ready for competition? If we're far enough into the season that I have scouting information, either I have obtained it from looking at the computer or the results of the matches, or I've talked to some friends, we kind of identify what type of players they are. For example, the number one team is a sitter and a hitter, meaning I have one player who just crushes the ball all the time, and the other player just sets balls up, hardly ever misses. So how would that help me if I was going to prepare my team? We would have a practice team, like they do in football. We have the travel squad or the practice team. They play like the other team. So I take my number one team and we play against another team who will volunteer to be the visiting team, and they play that style of play. One player crushing the ball, the other player being consistent. What if we discover that we're playing lobbers? Well, I have a practice team that helps me out. So your job is to be the practice team, and you're trying to lob everything you can possibly lob, so we get a chance to see those, and we look at responses we may have to choose, like, do we do more overheads, or do we move in and hit shorter so they can't lob as much? So as a captain, your job is to take your scouting information, apply it to your teams that they're going to play against, and even have a scouting team that they can practice against this week. So I'm the captain of the team, and we just finished our last match. We typically have 7 days till our next match, or we might have a short week like they do in football. It's got a Thursday night game. How do I prepare based on the number of days I've got left? Well, much like a football team, we're going to take a day off typically after a big match and kind of recover and get all the work done that we put off because we were preparing for the last match, and get caught up at work and at home, so our mind's clear. So we start the second day of practice working on the things we do best. What's our strengths? Getting confidence in our strengths again. The next day I'll probably add a few things that we've discovered that our opponents like to do. So how does our strengths match up, and how do we have to adjust based on what we've heard about our opponents and their style of play? And we'll practice our strength a little bit and maybe our game plan B if we have to adjust to their style. As we go through the week, we'll keep focusing on what we do best with minor adjustments. But typically the day before the match it's a light day practice. The pads aren't on. We're just going to go out and hit a few balls. I'm really working a lot on rhythm. What I want to go into the match feeling is three things. Am I seeing the ball really well? Can I see the ball spin? Do I see the shadow on the ball? Am I good with my intent? Do I have a lot of confidence in what I intend to do? And probably most importantly, how well am I moving my feet? So I've really warmed up everything, so I'm ready to go. So on match day, it's all there. All right, it's match day, it's here. How do I prepare? And let's take a look at the captain's role. One of his things is to make sure that all the pieces are in place. We know the team's going to be there. We've contacted the team to make sure they're all available, that they're ready to come early. We make sure the food's ready, that the balls are ready. Everything that can be done off the court is done, so the players can focus just on what they're about to do. That's part of the captain's job in preparing mentally so that there are no distractions off the court. The team's ready to perform the way they've practiced all week with their deliberate practice. And now it's for the player's point of view. My captain's done his job. There's nothing I have to worry about. How do I get ready for that match play day? Well, typically the night before I'll try to get some sleep, make sure I eat a good pasta lunch, but I make sure my equipment's ready to go. That's one of the critical factors. Are my strings ready? Do I already have my grip on? Do I have my favorite shoes, my favorite match play outfit? I want to make sure that whatever I need, no matter what the situation, it's in my bag of tools, ready to go. The captain's done his job. My role as a player is to get ready so that no matter what happens on the court, I've got the answer in my tool bag, or I've got the confidence in my mind. Our captain and our team are prepared. Everything's in place. We've done our warm-up before we get on the court. They've now assigned us to the court and to our opponents. We've got this little 5-minute warm-up we do. What's my purpose in a little 5-minute warm-up? Well, a lot of times players will say, well, I'm going to discover how my opponents are going to play. I'd probably say you're not, because players warm up differently than they play. The purpose of a little 5-minute warm-up is for you to get very comfortable with how you're going to play. It's more about me warming up than really assessing my opponents. What I may tell my partner, or myself if I'm playing singles, is he's a righty, he's a lefty, he hits the ball pretty hard, or he has a lot of spin. So a little 5-minute warm-up is more just kind of a review of, a general view of what they play like, but more about how I'm about to play. Because if I'm the first server, I got to feel very confident going into that first point. that I have a definite plan, I've deliberately practiced, and I have a deliberate plan of action. That's what the 5-minute warm-up's all about. All right, it's game on. The game's on. We win the first set, they win the second set. So what can a captain do? Now's his chance. If you split sets, you're allowed to receive coaching before you start the third set or the third set tiebreaker, the match play tiebreaker. So what can the captain ask you? How can he help get you back on course? Well, basically there's 5 questions he would ask. Number 1 is, okay guys, what do they seem to be doing best? How are they dictating the play? The second question to ask is, okay, how are you guys dictating play? What are you seeming to do that seems to get you your points? The third question would be, okay, what's their weakness? How have you won your points? What do you feel like you can attack against these guys? The fourth question is, okay, would be like, how are they attacking us? What seems to be our weakness, and how can we make an adjustment to that? Whether we go to playing Aussie or both back, or slowing down the serve, or being more aggressive at the net play. But the last question is asked, okay guys, we weighed everything. Their strengths, their weaknesses, our weaknesses. Okay, what are we going to do? And you approach that third set or that match point tiebreaker with a definite plan in mind. Okay guys, you've talked about it, go do it. I got confidence in you. Okay captain, it's after the match, so whether you've won or lost, what's your game plan now? The best advice I ever got was from Wayne Bryan. So Wayne said after the boys lost or won in doubles, the first thing we asked him was, where do you want to go eat? So it's automatically set up for you. You won or lost the match. This is not the time to review what happened during the match. You need a little bit of time off. So everybody sits around and they get a bite to eat, a bite to drink, and you kind of socialize. We've had a chance to come down after the match. We've eaten and we've sat around and talked about things. And the captain's real job begins again in letting us get over that match and get on to the next match. When you see a football team after the game and they talk to the coach, and he says, coach gives you a few details, but he really says, it doesn't really matter about that game. What we're really focused on is the next game. And we know when we play, it's not how good you were, but how good you're going to be. Your job as captain, get them ready for the next match and how good they can be.